All right, excuse the crappy production value. I wanted to get this out as fast as possible, honestly, because I'm not happy with what PlayStation is doing. But I do want to use my platform to actually do something about it. Now, I have a plan, but I need you to trust me on this, okay? I do have a way that we can do something about this though, but I just need you to trust me. TLDR though, check the description. Everything you need to know is in there. So right now, gaming sucks. PlayStation in particular has just been really tone deaf and making some terrible decisions that just go pretty much against everything that would benefit their customers and only benefit their revenue. In just the last week, they've already announced that they're revoking digital licenses for purchased digital movies and TV shows that were on their service. They're shutting down the PS3 and PS Vita digital stores, and they're discontinuing physical discs for PlayStation consoles in 2028. It is so funny to me how they're able to say stuff like, oh, we're shutting down these old ass stores so you're locked out of digital content after this and this date. And in the same breath, also say, we're gonna go all digital now, but like, hey, you can trust us. Like, it's so weird seeing like just have this random shift all of a sudden. I've been seeing this practice a lot in politics, honestly, where they just bombard you with all the bad news in one go, just like rip the band-aid off, get it over with, so that way no one can focus and organize around a single bad decision at the same time. Like, I've been trying to figure out a way to justify this. Like seriously, like, how does this decision actually benefit players at all? Like, I was trying so hard. I can't think of anything really. With digital only, you can't resell your games, you can't trade them or lend them to a friend. The only place you'll be able to buy games is through their storefront, which means that there is zero price competition because Sony can set the prices, which means stuff like buying a game on sale because a store has way too much stock is just not gonna be a thing anymore. And Sony has already shown us that they can revoke any of your game licenses for any reason. Like, forget about the movie stuff for a second. They've done this with people's game accounts before. Just like taking like $3,000 worth of games away from you with zero recourse. This dude had to literally sue just to be able to get his account back. Like, I'm really trying here, but this feels like it's only a net benefit for Sony. That's it. The only thing we get out of this really is just, well, it's a little more convenient. Now, I wanna be clear on this because I keep seeing the same statistic everywhere. Yes, 85% of PlayStation game sales were digital last year, correct. But, and this is important, listen to me. Adoption does not equate preference. Yes, people are buying more digital games, this is true, but how many people do you think chose the disc version over the digital version of the PS5? Take a guess. 82%. People are not discussing that. That digital sales percentage doesn't tell the whole story. Clearly, consumers still want the choice to be able to decide where and how they buy their games. But with this, they're just making the choice for you. Anyways, I just wanted to get that out so that way the next time you hear somebody being like, oh, well, it's too late because people clearly want digital downloads, and just, now you have a rebuttal for that. Because I hate seeing that everywhere, dude. It's like that clearly doesn't tell the whole story. And people are clearly very mad. Like, this is a big enough change that I've seen people just actually being okay with just walking away from PlayStation altogether if that's how it's gonna be. Okay, but they're clearly not backing out of this. Sony just doesn't care what we think. And their hope is that over time, they're just gonna wait for the backlash to kind of die down, people will get over it, and this will all just be some old news in a few months. Well, I wanna be clear, fuck that. I'm gonna use my platform to actually rally people around doing something about it. So let's stop going on the defensive here and work on the offensive. They've basically given us a 2-year head start here. So what can we actually do to prepare? Well, it's actually really simple if you're planning to leave. Stop updating your PS5. Now, I understand not everyone will be in a position of privilege to be able to do this because, you know, maybe you share a PS5 with a household, or their PS5 is the only everyday machine that they might have for gaming. But for everyone else, just, okay, hear me out, okay? Now, I know there's a lot of people that are already seeing these announcements and going, okay, well, that's it. It just doesn't make any more sense to invest any more money in PlayStation, which makes sense, honestly. I mean, I feel like a lot of us have literal decades worth of games that we could play for the next 10, 20 years and never run out of things to play. So for a lot of people, the PS5 will be a pretty great jumping off point. Or they're using this news as a way to start switching over to PC, which, I mean, I kind of get it. The PS6 is almost certainly gonna be a digital only console and $1,000 minimum, which at that point, if you have to buy digital, you might as well do it from an ecosystem that gives you at least better choices and consumer protections. So if you're already planning on saying goodbye to PlayStation or moving over to PC or a completely different platform entirely, genuinely the best thing you can do right now is stop updating your PS5. Why? Because of the amazing jailbreak scene that's already out there for the PS5. Now, I've already did a whole video on all the cool stuff you can do with a modded PS5, but basically, for those not too familiar with the concept, modders, hackers, researchers, stuff like that, they like to find little vulnerabilities in the PS5 software that lets them run code that was never meant for you to actually touch, and use that to completely unlock what's possible with your PS5. The big stuff is being able to do stuff like backing up copies of your physical games, transferring them back and forth between consoles, backing up your PS5 saves locally without some of these restrictions. Because you purchased those games, you should be able to do whatever you want with them. But the most important one that's developing right now is being able to dual boot Linux. Now, I think people forget that for a while now, this was a pretty big feature for PlayStation consoles. Sony even used to market the PS2 and the PS3 as the everything in one console that you could play music, Blu-rays, DVDs, games, streaming, and yes, a Linux desktop. Go look up other OS if you want to know more about that, by the way. But of course, capitalism came in and removed it from the PS3 even after advertising that it came included with the console, which they did get sued for and lost and had to pay everyone $10. That'll show them. But the modern version of this is so cool. If you have access to dual boot, you can run any operating system that you want on this thing as long as it has the right drivers for it, which means you're not only playing PS5 games, but also your Steam games, GOG games, Xbox games, whatever you want. And even play those games that Sony said would be too complicated to emulate on the PS5 and then ended up reselling to you through a subscription 5 years later. Yeah, I was also able to get stuff like PS2 and PS3 emulation on here. So it is possible, Sony just won't let you. And as of when I'm writing this, yes, you can even run SteamOS on there, which is a good, proper console level experience for PC gaming on your PS5 with all of the PC games that you would want. And the best part is, none of this is permanent. You can still switch back and forth between PC mode and PS5 mode, so you're not locked out on either side. None of this is theoretical. I've proven this already. Your PS5 that you paid for can do all of this stuff right now. It's just that Sony doesn't want you doing this. Which is why every single time someone finds a way to do this, they very quickly patch it in an update so that way no one else can use it. And once you update your PS5, there is no way to downgrade the firmware. They spent a lot of money to make sure that that's just not possible. Which is why having an older firmware matters so much. The lower your firmware is, the more exploits are available to you to be able to do a lot more with your PS5, including buying and playing games on other storefronts like Steam and GOG. And Sony knows this. I don't know if a lot of people knew about this, but Sony has a bounty program that encourages hackers to tell them about these types of exploits. The way that it works is a super smart hacker guy can go to this website, submit an exploit that they found and tell them, hey, I found this exploit in your software. Sony looks it over, and if it's legit, they give them a little cash bonus, immediately push an update to patch it, and then only disclose it to the public months after it's been released. The last guy who managed to find a jailbreak exploit got paid out 20 bands. And the crappy thing is, I don't even blame him. Listen, if you were a dev that was smart enough to figure this stuff out, what would you prefer? Release it to the public for free, get a few interested people to play around with it for a little bit, let it get patched in 2 days anyways, making this whole thing kind of pointless, and then possibly get sued in court or something? Or send it to Sony and cash out 15, 20 grand? Yeah, there's no financial incentive to actually get exploits out into the public and in the hands of regular everyday people, even if they actively make the experience better for the consumers. And that's exactly where part 2 of my plan comes in. So what if there was? If you've been putting off seeing a doctor because you hate having to set up an appointment and calling a bunch of people to see which places take your insurance, you should know that there's a much better system now for people like me who hate dealing with doctor's appointments with their sponsor, ZocDoc. ZocDoc is a completely free website that helps you find and book doctors, dentists, psychiatrists, whatever you need, and helps you find people near you that can actually fit your needs. So if you want to filter by which ones take your insurance or in-person needs only, ZocDoc lets you do that seamlessly. And you can check out reviews from other people who've actually met with that doctor. And when you're ready, you can book an appointment right then and there, with some even able to meet within 24 to 72 hours of booking. And with over 150,000 providers across 200 different specialties like general doctors, dentists, physical therapists, you are sure to find someone that's the right fit for you. Gotta take care of yourself, dude. Scan the QR code up here or click the link in the description to try it out. It's free. And thanks again to ZocDoc for sponsoring this channel because we're gonna do something really cool with their support. Now, there are two downsides to doing this. Number one, you won't be able to play online since, you're not connecting to Sony servers anymore. But if you're already not gonna continue with PlayStation, do you really wanna keep giving them another 80 bucks a year to keep destroying what you own? And number two, running something like Linux requires a jailbreak, and those jailbreaks can take a little while to come out. But Sony basically gave us a 2-year heads up on this, so I know that there are people that are already working hard on this, which is why I'm telling people right now, if you stop updating right now, in 2 years' time, when Sony stops all the other disk stuff and stops manufacturing that stuff, there is a really big chance that someone's gonna have a jailbreak exploit ready to go, and you can go play all of your stuff on SteamOS or whatever else you wanna do. It's your PS5, you paid for it, you should be able to do whatever you want with it. Plus, I have something special at the end of this video that will hopefully speed up the process a little bit. Okay, so let's go over how to actually disable updating on your PS5. So you're gonna go into your settings up here, then you're gonna go into System Software Update and Settings. And you're gonna see two things here: disable download update files automatically and install update files automatically. So next we're gonna back out all the way back to the main settings. Then you're gonna go down to Save Data and Game App Settings. Then you're gonna scroll down until you see Automatic Updates, and then disable these two here as well. This is like the updates that might automatically apply in case a specific disk might have it or something. Now, alternatively, if you wanna be like super duper safe, you can actually block all connections from Sony servers to your PS5. So that way there's no possible chance it can communicate at all with Sony servers. But that involves you going to your network settings. So go over to your Wi-Fi, network, settings, set up internet connection. From here, you just wanna set up your Wi-Fi network the same as always, but when you press X, click on Advanced Settings. From there, you're gonna go to your DNS settings and then change your primary DNS to this that you see on screen right now. Like that's the one you're gonna want. This basically redirects all of Sony's websites or pages or any sort of domains and blocks them and redirects them to some other random website. It's usually a modding website, but it just will make sure that your PS5 can't connect to Sony servers at all. Then you just hit OK, make sure that it can still connect to the internet, of course. And if you wanna check to make sure that it actually works, you can go into the user guide right here. I'll put it up on screen if it doesn't show up here, but basically it'll just redirect, which is kind of cool. Instead of it going to the user guide, it goes somewhere else. But yeah, that's really all you have to do to get ready. That's literally all of it. Okay, great. Now we've all stopped our updates on our PS5, but how exactly does that hurt PlayStation in any way? Well, Sony's whole digital future kind of depends on gamers like you and me always being on the latest firmware. That's how they can control the ecosystem. That way, the only place you can buy games is from whatever price that they decide on their storefront. Every single person that stays on an older firmware is a person that they cannot have control over. They cannot grab another 80 bucks a year from you from PS Plus. They cannot stop you from running Steam games on your PS5 or doing whatever you want with your hardware. They already got your money with the hardware, right? Might as well start using it for playing other games aside from just their store to buy them. Plus, to be honest, if you end up not wanting to do it, moddable firmware PS5s tend to go for pretty high prices on eBay if you ever want to sell yours. So you locked it in, you're officially on an older firmware, so how long is it gonna take for a jailbreak? Well, like I said, we have a 2-year head start right now, but honestly, we just really don't know. The biggest thing that's standing in our way right now is exactly what I was talking about earlier. There's just no reason for a dev to want to release this to the public if Sony would want to pay them out for it first. So this is where part 2 comes in, and I think you're really gonna like it. I'm teaming up with the Fulu Foundation to announce a bounty for anyone who can prove that they have an exploit that can run an alternative operating system on a PS5 that's running at least a firmware 13.42 or newer. At the time that I'm filming this video, that is the newest firmware that's out right now. I am so excited for this, dude. I always thought to myself, like, what if the community would just pool together their money instead and just beat them at their own game? But I never really had the platform or the resources to be able to actually set that up. But turns out Fulu was doing exactly that. Now, if you're not familiar with the Fulu Foundation, they're a non-profit organization that believes that people should be able to control the tech that they buy and own. And these guys are the real deal. They're actively on the front lines, actually lobbying in courts and talking with lawmakers and advocating for consumer protections, specifically around Section 1201 of the DMCA, which actually protects this kind of work. By the way, I forgot to mention this, but do you know who founded the Fulu Foundation? Yeah, it's Louis Rossmann. Yeah, that should basically tell you everything you need to know about this organization. Bounties like these are giving developers a way to demonstrate their work and actually get compensated for it, yes, but it also gives them concrete, hard evidence that Hulu can show it to lawmakers and courts to show that, look, see, like, not only is this stuff like possible right now, literally thousands of people are willing to pay just to be able to keep using something that they bought. But current laws are written in order to prevent that. So we should change it. And as someone who knows a thing or two about restoring functionality to bricked and older devices, I think you can kind of see where our values overlap. Okay, so details. Seriously, check the full link in the description, but quick stuff. To claim the bounty, you need to be able to boot an alternative OS on firmware 13.42 or newer. The PS5 needs to be able to boot back into its original OS and play PS5 games. And this exploit needs to be something that a regular person could actually do. Nothing more complicated than basic soldering at most. Now, this bounty is US only for now, as we're trying to specifically target Section 1201 of the DMCA. Now, in terms of the cash bounty, Hulu is putting up 10K of their own money into this bounty to start, and matching every public donation up to 10K on top of that. So if you want to help out and want to contribute to this pool to get this PS5 exploit going, it's all in the description. And if the bounty doesn't get claimed by the end date, don't worry, everyone gets refunded. Like, don't worry about it. And as for me, you know that sponsor that you sat through earlier in this video? I'm putting a very big chunk of that money right into the pool as well to put my money where my mouth is, because I want to see this actually happen. Yeah, I'm not sure if you guys have noticed, but like I've been doing this for a while now, where like I take money from big company to fund showing people how to hack and mod other big company. Link in the description if you want to contribute or just spread the word. Anything really helps. This is an actual real way we can start pushing back against companies like PlayStation in a way that actually hurts them and not just complaining about it on the internet, you know? Whatever decisions get made in the next couple of years by Sony or lawmakers or developers, and as us, as consumers, are gonna determine what gaming looks like for the next decade. It shouldn't matter whether our games are owned physically or digitally when we purchase them. We should advocate for better consumer protections when it comes to what we can actually do with our own hardware and our own purchase software. I've always told myself that if I ever had a platform with people that were like actively listening to what I had to say, I'd want to use it for something that was way bigger than me. So this is my contribution. This is my way of trying to do that. No matter what happens in 5 years' time, I want to be able to look back at this moment and say that I didn't just stand around and let it happen. At the very least, I tried. I did something to tell people about this, and hopefully you feel the same way. Stop updating your PS5 if you're in the position to do so, and check out the bounty in the description. Companies like Sony are counting on people like you and me to just forget about this whole thing in a few months and move on to the next piece of content. Don't let that happen. Now, if you want to see what's actually possible if we didn't have crappy laws like this, I made a whole video on what's actually possible when you mod your PS5 and install a different operating system on it. Like, it's really crazy. Click over here to check that video out, and thank you for watching.